Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today we are starting our personal top 10 superhero lists. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
Lassen.
And before we dive into it all, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to listen and make Nightcap Chat part of your weekly routines. Without you guys, we would not be here. If you have any episode ideas, feel free to message us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. We're at Nightcap Chat on Facebook and Twitter, and Nightcap_chat on Instagram. So, one thing I'm going to touch on is The Mandalorian is in full swing. I'm not saying anything. There are no spoilers. It's been very good, and I'm very excited to talk about that with you all. Another thing, we're glossing over that. WandaVision finally has a premiere date.
When?
January 15th.
Nice.
So later than expected, but actually, we have a date.
Exactly 2 months from now.
Two months from the day of recording, yes. So we get through The Mandalorian and then start WandaVision. So there's no overlapping, which is cool. But it's not in December, which is sad. But we have a date. Yeah. So that's very exciting. Yes. I'm so excited. This is going to be the first Marvel thing in how long?
Oh, man, dude.
Since Spider-Man, right?
Are you serious?
Yes,
right? Isn't it since July of 2019?
Wow, that's
right?
Crazy to think about. Yeah, you're probably right.
Silence fell over them as they thought. I've been in quarantine for 7 months.
16 months since we got a Marvel product?
Because New Mutants definitely doesn't count, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that does not count. That was only half a movie anyway. We never did that episode.
I'm waiting for Ken to see it because Ken was part of...
Okay.
We've done a Nightcap Chat episode on every single Fox movie. So I need Ken to see it so we can have our unceremonious closeout to the Fox X-Men franchise. It's
why don't you
half
put it on
episode since it was half
exactly.
You know?
Is it on video yet? Is there somewhere I could just at least somewhere?
I think it is, right? Didn't they put it out?
I don't think it's out yet, but I will let you know if I hear anything.
I thought it was. I thought they immediately put it out.
I haven't seen it.
I just watched the Death in the Family animated Choose Your Own Adventure DC movie that came out this week.
Oh,
Did you guys see that at all?
No, but
a couple weeks ago.
I did watch the. Oh no! I didn't watch that one. I saw parts of the Killing Joke. I'm getting those mixed up now. No, I didn't see it. Was it any good?
Actually, it was kind of enjoyable, dude. There's 3 different endings to it, and you can kind of more or less watch each ending. You can get through all of them within about 2 hours. So it's interesting take on it. I mean, you can either have Jason Todd die, live, or more or less other. Cheat's death. That's what it was called. And then each time there was a little bit of a different ending based off of what she chose. It's kind of very similar scene shots reused in some ways, but most of it there's new material in all 3 endings.
Yeah, and it's a cool concept just because if I'm not mistaken, when they originally were doing that in the comics, there was a bit of a choose your own ending for that, and they had a write-in for whether or not to kill Jason Todd in the comic books for Death in the Family, right?
It was actually a phone call.
Okay, yes. So there was something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was a phone call, and supposedly it was really close, but it was still in favor of killing Jason Todd. And in fact, there's even an urban legend that there was an attorney that was looking to sue DC if they backed out on not having the right amount of quantity based off of their storytelling. Because he thought they were just trying to more or less do a cash grab off of fans and not kill Jason at all anyway.
Wow.
So he was checking the stats urban legend wise. Once again, I have not seen facts of that, but that's an urban legend I've heard over the years, that there was an attorney that was ready to get involved if they did not kill Jason Todd.
Essentially, I mean, it would make sense to me just because you're essentially advertising that you, the fans, get to choose. And if if one thing was chosen and they didn't like it and they did the other thing, I could see how a lawsuit could prevail over DC.
It's kind of crazy. That's how rabid even the fans were back then, if you think about it.
That's how rabid lawyers are.
Media, that's the internet. That's true. That's how rabid lawyers are.
They'll sue you over anything.
It's like DC. That's a fat paycheck. Let's get that.
Exactly. Well, that's cool. I'll have to check that out.
That's an interesting concept that I wouldn't mind, Marvel or DC doing, or DC possibly doing again.
Yeah. Why not?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And you can do it so much more, how would you say, interaction with fans now with social media.
Right.
Of them, like,
you just do polls on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. You're just mentioning like movie endings that have like alternate endings. I always hated when movies would be like, here's an alternate ending in the DVD. It's just like, what's the point? I just feel like, I don't know, like, it's just so dumb. Who cares? You didn't use it. Great. But it would have been kind of cool, though, if they did that for, like, Endgame.
Yes.
If they just did, like, a couple of, like, alternate ways of how, like, one of the 14 million ways that didn't go the right way, that would have been kind of cool.
Like the last few. Yeah.
Like when Doctor Strange actually tells him what you're supposed to do, and then you see why, because he's like, if I tell you, then it won't work. Yeah, but if you do the alternate reality where he does tell him, and then he tries to, like, you know what I mean? Like, it would just be cool to see just a couple different ways play out. That would have been neat.
That'd be kind of cool. Like in Doctor Strange, like, more or less narrates, these are why this wouldn't work. You know what I mean?
It's like Doctor Strange meets Clue.
Exactly.
And as long as, while Benedict Cumberbatch isn't narrating, he doesn't have to say the word penguin, we'll be okay.
Penguin. And if you guys understand what that reference is, Google Benedict Cumberbatch penguin and have yourself a good old few minutes there.
I never knew you could say it so many different ways.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Fantastic. I don't know who wasn't not paying attention in the studio or what happened there. But yeah, I might have to check that out. It's of all of the comic book stories to adapt into that kind of concept, I think that's the perfect one, given its comic book origins.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And one of them I didn't quite even expect to be an alternate, so they got creative with it too in some ways that we've never seen before. And I go, that's kind of cool. It's like that. Yeah, I guess that may happen if they chose the way of Jason Todd surviving. And I don't know if you guys want me to spoil for you or not, if you guys want to watch it, people listening, but it's kind of something that, I guess they could have done it that way if Jason Todd survived. You have something else tragic happen rather than him dying.
Interesting.
And so, because I just thought it'd be something like that. Oh, cool. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. He saves Jason Todd. Storytelling goes on.
Yeah.
But the animated feature put on another twist to it that was kind of I've never thought of as a possibility, but it's great because you could do it as an alternate reality.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, that's what alternate realities are for, right? An infinite amount of alternates and infinite possibilities and so on. So anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, excuse me. So tonight, that's what's going on in the world of pop culture. But tonight we're starting our top 10 list. And we've been meaning to do this for a while. And this is a top 10 list of our personal favorite superheroes. And we're being very clear about superheroes here. Not necessarily comic book characters, not super villains. Because I don't know about you guys, but that alternated my list. This was hard.
Yeah, this was tough.
It was very hard. And it was so hard, I made a disclaimer list before we begin because I wanted some honorable mentions here before we started. And the first one, I want to say, and she's on my shirt, you know, this character probably would have been within the first 5 or 6. But I don't think she qualifies as a superhero because her agenda is of her own, and she's kind of above and beyond just superheroes, supervillains, and all of that. And that is the Marvel character Death. Okay. Now she's been in love with Thanos. She's been in love with Deadpool, but she's a cosmic being. You know, she calls Eternity her brother, who's essentially the embodiment of life. She's just, I couldn't put her on the list just because I don't think it works. Like, she's not a superhero. She's not a supervillain. Like, she embodies death, and that is her motivation. And it's beyond just, you know, mortality and good and evil, if you will.
Now, what if, say, for instance, just think about death as a defense of being a hero in a weird way?
Okay.
What if she's taking someone out of a very painful misery that by taking this person, it rescues her from the pain that it would have to more or less maintain for the rest of its existence without her taking it earlier?
That's the whole thing is like...
Would that be a heroic thing for death to do?
Sure, but death is necessary. Like 100%. Otherwise, there's just infinite life and a finite amount of resources. Whether it's noble or not, because she's not always noble. Like, why did she want Thanos to kill half the universe? But then she kind of betrayed him a little bit, if you read Infinity Gauntlet, and she was not having what he was doing there. She has her own agenda. So it's just, to me, like, it's just beyond, oh, you know, this is a mercy killing or whatever. Like, it's, she just does not fit.
No, absolutely.
And I also wanted Squirrel Girl on my list, but I could not fit her in my top 10. Because Squirrel Girl is awesome. She's defeated Thanos. She's defeated Galactus. She's defeated Dr. Doom. Yes, and it's canon, and it works. And she is so powerful. But I could not fit her on the list. And then 2 more characters that I collect a lot of is Medusa and Black Bolt. And they're awesome, and they're Inhumans, but I just did not fit them on my top 10 list. What about you guys?
Okay, so are we doing honorary mentions then? Because this is one that I was debating back and forth with you guys before the show.
Okay.
And, you know, it's he's a hero, I think, by any means someone could consider him a hero, but whether or not he fits the superhero category, I kind of like, I can see your debate on it after listening to you guys a little bit beforehand, but I really had a hard time leaving Rick Grimes off of my list.
Okay, so you decided to leave him off. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, Rick Grimes is like by far one of my favorite comic book characters. He's an ex-police officer. Actually, he is a police officer. If it wasn't for the zombie apocalypse that his story world had to deal with, he's out there saving lives as a hero every day and helping protect society.
Yeah.
In the comic series himself, he's had his arm cut off. He's cheated death multiple times. He's been a great leader, Captain America-esque wise inside of the Walking Dead universe. And he's unified communities. He is pretty much as heroic as you possibly can define. But super heroic, I can see your argument with the fact of that, do you know what I mean? It's like it's a different level of type of hero to be fighting supervillains around fictional comic universes versus taking out what everybody else has to deal with on an equal level inside of the world. So I think he's got a super heroic spirit.
Yeah.
But when it comes to superhero abilities, he is just that much more determined than the rest of the people around for maintaining a world for people to live in, no matter what the circumstances are. So I took him off of the regular top 10 and put him into the honorary mention category since she has started that as an option on there.
Okay.
But that's my number 1 on the alternate list of just, how would you say, 2 heroes I had to leave off.
Do you have anyone else that you want to mention?
Yeah, when it comes to like other characters that I've had like love-hate relationships over the years, is I really liked Harley Quinn when Carl Kiesel and Terry Dodson were doing the series back in the early 2000s. But once she became, how would you say, overused, and too overly mainstream, I kind of don't like it when my characters become fads.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%. And it's 100%. And I'll explain why
later.
I
feel, and I want, like I said too, like I used to be a Harley Quinn purist.
Yeah.
But when it came to putting her on my favorite heroes list now, it's like she's still super enjoyable. She's still super fun to read as a Harley Quinn fan. But when it comes to the amount of bandwagon Harley Quinn fans that have grown into the character because of just it's Margot Robbie, or it's just the cool thing to like Harley Quinn, I kind of had a hard time being on that bandwagon still as much. Yeah. I think she's still a cool character. She's actually growth as a character to be even more of a staple in the DC universe, which has been kind of cool to see because the DC recognized that fan base there and wanted to mature her character. So I kind of like how they've actually developed her as a character over the years. But when it comes to my interest level, I just it's kind of fun to have your own personal character that is, do you know what I mean, your fan base, because Spider-Man's my all-go character. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's just, but to have people that are kind of more or less into Harley Quinn merchandise rather than Harley Quinn the character, that kind of deterred me away from keeping her on my list.
Yep. Man, my character that happened to, I wish I could take them off my list, but I just could not do it. And we will get to that character later. Do you have any more honorable mentions, Ken, before we move on to Lance?
Yeah, it's a character I love, but it's hard to. He doesn't crack my top 10 barely. Iron Man, because it was really the movie verse that really got me diehard into Tony Stark.
Okay.
Because when I started reading Iron Man as a kid, I loved Iron Man, but I liked the red and silver armor, and I really like the fact of developing a character and pushing the character forward. When they put the character back in an old school red and gold armor because of the popularity, once again, the fans not wanting to progress a character forward when it comes to design. I understand red and gold is classic legendary. It's kind of like when you put Superman in the silver and black suit or the black and silver suit. It's just, do you know what I mean? It's like that. It just was cool for that 3 to 6 months. But then you had to put him back in the red and blue. So I kind of felt like that. I really like that development of Iron Man progressing because he's an engineer and he keeps on wanting to develop new technology. But I kind of felt like that. I like the direction of moving away because, like, when they went from the original armor was just gray silver. Do you know what I mean? Then
best
it went to
armor
gold
ever.
Armor. Yeah. Then it went into the
silver
gold and red armor.
Red and gold's costume.
And then it goes, the red and gold costume. And then the red and silver to me was like, wow, that's cool. It's like he's, you know what I mean? He's progressing with his designs. And then they go back to a red and gold armor with just different arm plates. It was just like, okay, I feel like that's a step backwards just to appease the fan. So I kind of dropped off the Iron Man bandwagon until Robert Downey Jr. took on the role of Tony Stark. And I go, wow, this is freaking awesome. And it kind of really got my interest going back in Iron Man again. And, also a few other stories. Extremis was a great Iron Man story. And there's little things that got me slowly into becoming an Iron Man fan again, but he was still barely off my top 10 list.
Nice.
I'm not a fan of the black and gold armor. I'm not going to
lie. No. Yeah, the black and gold armor? Yeah,
it's not my cup of tea. Even though I'm sitting in a chair that literally has this black and gold armor.
Nice.
That's funny. Do you have any other honorable mentions, Ken?
Let's see here too. I think that is about it right now. I mean, I really like the Punisher TV series. I like some of the Punisher comic, but I just he was too hard to put in my top 10 list.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with that. Like he kept almost making it, but I didn't even quite give him an honorable mention. But I mean, I do enjoy reading Punisher, but he didn't make it.
Yeah.
All right, Lance, what you got any honorable mentions before we start our top 10?
Yep, I got 2.
Okay.
One, I have to give an honorable mention to because they're brother of Galactus and sister of Infinity, which is Eternity, since my daughter's middle name is Eternity.
Nice.
Just Eternity's awesome. It's cool, you know.
Eternity is cool.
How can you not like Eternity?
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny that you mentioned death. It's the opposite, right?
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it says something about. I don't know. Anyway, and my other one is Namor. You know, Namor's cool. You know, he lives in the 70% of the Earth that the comic books never show. You know, and I think he's just a pretty cool character. You know, I like how they developed him. They turned him into a mutant, right? Because at first he wasn't a mutant, I believe, and then it later came out that
and now he's like considered the first mutant.
Yeah, which is cool, you know. And what he did in AVX was pretty awesome. It was pretty cool. The whole fight scene and everything. I know I've mentioned a bunch of times. Yeah, you know, he's the lone warrior. He's like that good guy, bad guy, you know, thing where it's like he's right, you know, but at the same time he's fighting the good guys. You know, he's had that history, and I think that's just he's a fun history to the character, you know.
Yeah. I look forward to him joining the MCU hopefully soon.
Yes.
Yes.
As we
if he was in the MCU movie, he probably makes a list. If somebody did it well, like he probably ends up knocking somebody off. But
what actor, Lance, do you want to see play Namor, dude?
I don't know. The Rock.
That'd be cool. I could totally see that.
It should be Jason Momoa, but
yeah, no, that's what I was thinking too. I think he's a better Namor than Aquaman.
That's what he was playing. He was just being Namor. Like, you can't tell me that was Aquaman. Like, there was Namor. Like, give me a break.
Well, it's definitely not a blonde pirate. Come on.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. So, before we start our top 10 list, I just want to say, like, I hope at least one of our characters crosses with another. And I honestly don't know if it's going to happen. And if it is going to happen, it is my number 10 with one of you guys. But beyond that, I don't think it's going to happen with me. It might happen with you two, but it will not happen with me. Your top 10 list, what?
My top 10 list already has an honorable mention that one of you guys already mentioned. So.
Oh, okay.
There's that.
Fun. I guess I'll go first because I want to see what you guys have to say. So this was really hard. And this person hit my number 10 because I was making this list and I was walking around my comic book room and I got through 1 through 7 pretty quick, and then I got to 8 and 9. They were definitely making my list, but I just had to see where. But it was number 10. I was trying to figure out who gets that last spot. And so I was kind of looking at this as like top 10 of all time. And I was looking at my collectibles and my pops. And I was thinking about, you know, like this was my Halloween costume when I was 5 years old. Nice. You know, I may not ever have his first appearance. I think actually Ken has his first appearance, and Ken can tell me if I'm wrong or not here. But he's somebody you can't just help but love, even if it's just from the movies, and that's Wolverine. Yes. Wolverine is my number 10.
I was thinking something completely different.
Were you? Who was it?
Yeah.
Who were you thinking?
No,
of?
Don't worry about it.
No, I want to know.
No, it's my number 10. So
okay. So we'll see that. Well, yeah, Wolverine. You know, the X-Men animated series. That was part of the reason why I got into comics. And of course, like, how do you not like Wolverine? You know, dressed up as Wolverine. He has a really cool history, although some of it maybe should have been left alone. Obviously, he was such an iconic character that Fox decided to make all the X-Men movies just about Wolverine. You know,
yeah,
he's indestructible. You know, and given other people on my list, like it had to be Wolverine.
No, for sure, dude. I said too. It's like that. I got kind of a like I can't spoil my list, but he's definitely on there.
Is he? Oh, I'm so excited! I can't wait to see where he falls on your list. I'm glad. I figured it was Wolverine if it was anybody.
He's in a tie category with me.
Oh,
that's a problem though.
Okay, interesting.
I kind of had to do. I kind of cheat a little bit. I created some themes of characters that are on equal levels because of what they are.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. If I'm allowed to do that, I don't know if I'm allowed to.
It's your list. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
I noticed a theme based off of the. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm kind of going to group of things together as one of my. He fits in that category of one of my groups.
I figured Wolverine.
It's funny. I love Wolverine, but yeah, I didn't even consider it. I'm not gonna lie.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I but good Wolverine's, yeah, dude. He's an icon. I can see how you could easily put him on your list.
Yeah. And that's just my number 10. So like we're about to get into it here. Oh, Ken, what do you got for number 10?
Okay, this is one that's I'm sure that very few people in the world put him on a list, but I kind of goes back to my childhood as the first character. I remember being a brand new character when I started reading comics.
Okay,
as a kid, and that was Longshot.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, like Longshot was introduced about the first or second year I started reading comics. And
okay.
Arthur Adams. I mean, I was a kid of the 80s, so let me qualify that. You know, I grew up in the Michael Jackson era of parachute pants, and you know what I mean? Like red leather, black leather. I didn't wear it, but it was cool. Do you know what I mean? It's like a
Ken, you can wear it. It's okay.
Jackets, throwing razor blades. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just everything about Longshot. He had the blonde hair, party up the front, or business in the front, party in the back with the mullet.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was just he got every girl without even really thinking about it, and yet he was so modest and so, how would you say it? His superhero power was good luck, and so he was created by Mojo to be a character in his TV universe, and what the Longshot miniseries was about.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is kind of cool. And plus the artwork, Arthur Adams being the artist on it. I mean, to this day, still one of the best comic book artists in the industry. And it was just something like, you go, wow, this is really kind of cool. They put him in the Uncanny X-Men soon afterwards. He had about a 5 or 6 year run of just being one of, I thought, the coolest characters in the Marvel universe. And then, they created Gambit. His personality was so similar to Longshot's when it came to, being lucky with the ladies. He threw cards rather than razor blades. It was just too much similarity. And Longshot was kind of time dated by his era of like, where bullets went out of style. The black suit with the, do you know what I mean? The Michael Jackson look went out of style.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, Longshot had to kind of be just tucked away in the Mojo verse with Dazzler, and you didn't see him for years, and he just became an afterthought in the Marvel universe. And so even though like that, he is not really revered by any level by the Marvel Universe creators anymore, he was one of my favorites that I still keep on my top 10 list just because of how much he impacted my enjoyment of comics and being the first brand new character I was exposed to in my early comic collecting days.
Dude,
so Longshot did make my list by that default.
Yeah. You'll see on my list, like I love X-Force. So I love that pick. Totally underrated character. And I just want to say, like, I hate how much Fox disrespected the X-Force characters in Deadpool 2 because
absolutely.
Because we got to see Longshot was in there, right? He was
Longshot in there? That's another thing too, is like Domino kind of
No, I'm sorry, not Longshot, I'm sorry. Shatterstar.
Yeah.
Shatterstar was in there, and they had a few others, and they got in, and like I was really excited. I was like, oh, cool. And then they like killed everybody. And I was like, really? Like you started doing like a proper X-Force thing, and everybody but Deadpool and like I was just really annoyed. But I think Longshot's a really cool choice. He's not on my list, but I think that's really cool.
That's something, yeah, I said too. Just on this, I said to do this as the most personal level of your top 10 as you can think of, and he was like one of the no-brainers, just trying to figure out how to fit him in, and he made it number 10.
It's funny as I was considering Gambit, because I do have some Gambit stuff, but he just wasn't quite doing it. Like I had to give it to Wolverine because you can't go wrong with Wolverine. Lance, what do you got for number 10? You're muted. You're muted still, so we can't even hear you.
Sorry. My wife was walking by and yelling at the cat, so I muted.
Yeah.
My number 10 is someone that I didn't really realize was going to make my number 10, and I feel like because of other people on my list, they had to be number 10. And I've read so many comics with this person, but it's like, well, like almost how do I not pick it? And that's Spider-Man.
Wow. I was not expecting that.
Right? But it's just, I think at the end of the day, I've enjoyed so many comics with Spider-Man in it, and I've read so many Spider-Man comics. I love the humor, and some of the movies were not that great, and others were very good, especially the most recent one. And I think I also think probably part of it is like, the relationship with Tony Stark in the newer movies, but just also the relationship he has with like other characters in the Marvel comic universe. I just think I just had to go with it. And, he's kind of like Iron Man, I guess, in a way, like, like Ken was saying, the suit changes as the character develops and the character changes. And it's just, he's kind of a fun character. And I always picked on him. And I know, like, Blade, like, we always, me, you, and Dad, we always just like, Spider-Man, whatever. But, like, I think at the end of the day, yeah, he makes my top 10. He's 10th, but he made it.
He's 10, but he made it. No, I can't hate on Spider-Man. He's I won't say whether or not he's on my list. But there was definitely a point in time where I did consider him, my favorite character for sure. And he's especially fun no matter who you like to team up with your favorite characters.
Well, that's the other thing. He's done so many team ups and the video games growing. Like he's the only one that really had a good video game of any superhero. Like,
and look at his 90s cartoon, and he actually, more than just his 90s cartoon, there was Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends,
Right.
Like he had so many good cartoons going all the way back as far as good Marvel shows go that, he is a definitive part of probably a lot of people's top 10 lists.
Oh, yeah, he's probably number one.
Absolutely.
All right, Blade, who's your number 9?
Okay, I don't remember, so I have to pull up my list here. Okay. My number 9, and I'm very excited for this one because of all of the superheroes that I have been really into. This is a new one for me. Not a new character, but a new character for me personally. But I've been getting so into her that, I mean, she bumped Squirrel Girl and Medusa, from making this top 10 list.
Wow.
I think she's really cool. And now she's starting to get a little more attention in the comics, and especially now that she has a movie appearance, whether it's good or not. And that is Magic.
Ooh, very cool.
From X-Men, if you needed that explanation. But she's just cool. I mean, she's got her sword, she, my name is Blade, I like swords, right? The whole thing with Limbo, she's Colossus's brother, but also, like, even though she's Colossus's brother, like, her powers are so different, And when she was first introduced, like, she was just Ileana. She wasn't anything special, and then you realize she had powers. And as much as you'll hear us criticize the new Mutants movie, they did a good job with her. Anya Joy Taylor. I enjoyed her performance as Magic, and I'm glad they gave her, the proper accent and everything. She's a cool character. I'm not caught up on X of Swords, but I know she's, really involved in that. And I think they're pushing her a lot for different reasons. I really want a giant size X-Men just because of Magic, and I don't know if that's enough of a reason to want giant size X-Men #1, because that is an expensive book.
I don't know about
that. We'll see what happens though. But Magic is my number 9.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. I loved what they did with her in the movies.
Yeah,
she was fun in AVX, and it's a good choice.
Yeah, she's a fun character.
Yeah, I love how she's matured over the years, where now she's more or less the voice of advice for her older brother now, Colossus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that. She's been through so much, because like when you first saw her in that giant size you were talking about, I mean, Colossus was like big brother looking out for her, saving her life.
Yeah.
And then now it's kind of the roles are reversed, where Magic now looks out for Colossus more than he even looks out for her, which is kind of a cool, maturation process of a character that you get to grow up with and see her mature as a character too, as well.
And to me, like, I think she's like pretty powerful, and I think she has a lot of potential to be even more powerful. And I think that's a really cool dynamic.
Yes.
And I know I brought up that What If comic where she's starts getting trained by Doctor Strange to become the next Sorcerer Supreme. And I think it was Lance that said, like, sometimes they do these what ifs just to kind of see maybe what will work. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think it would be fun.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ken, what do you got for number 9?
Okay. Number 9 is like one of those ones that, once again, dude, trying to rank these so freaking hard for him. But number 9 I put on my list is kind of going in a little bit different direction than human, is Optimus Prime.
Okay.
Is like Transformers. Optimus Prime to me was like that. There's Captain America fans, there's Superman fans. Everybody likes that great leader of the team.
Yeah.
But Optimus Prime being an alien robot from another planet, leading a group of other alien robots, had more humanity as a leader of a superhero team than any other superhero that I see that you have no problem cheering for him. Do you know what I mean? He even died in the Transformers the movie, and how often that only happened twice in all of my times reading comics, where the lead character, or movies or cartoons, where the lead character of a organization, superhero team, do you know what I mean, died trying to protect his soldiers, or his freedom for all mankind. And it was just Optimus Prime was humble. It was just, he was an easy guy to like when it came to superhero leaders of pop culture and science fiction. You know what I mean? It's like that. I said too, like I can't think of any other character that made more impact of being likable through and through than Optimus Prime when it came to being like the leadership model of heroes fighting for good inside of the world to protect both humans and his kind. Was he kind of a little bit of like the X-Men type of thing too, like Professor X of the Transformers. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like that. He cared both his kind and he cared for humanity. Same thing with like Professor X and mutants.
And he fought for it. He fought for it because he believed in it.
Yes, absolutely. He was like the most convicted leader. I mean, obviously Captain America, do you know what I mean, for America? Do you know what I mean? And Superman, obviously, for, I would still say, an American symbol. But Optimus Prime was fighting to protect every human in the world. And so that was kind of like a little bit of an extra step level up when it came to being a superheroic figure inside of pop culture.
And especially protecting, I mean, he could just technically like leave the planet and just be like, you guys are all dead, see you later, I'm gonna go to another planet,
Yeah, exactly.
Like he doesn't need to do anything, he doesn't need to be there and save anybody,
Yeah.
It's not like, really his home planet, right?
Exactly. And Superman was like the similar type of thing. Like he came from another planet to protect us all, but he was more of an American icon more than he was like a world protecting icon that I think Optimus Prime represented more as a superhero, which is people are going to say, what are you talking about? Dude? Superman protects the whole freaking galaxy. But, I think Optimus Prime's on that same type of level of not having like 60,000 different powers to save the day. I mean? He's a soldier that was built to be a protector of good across the galaxy.
Yeah, and he actually can die. And it's not like this huge big deal when he dies in the comic book. It's like, wow, what a noble thing. It's like, oh, they killed Superman.
Yeah, and Optimus Prime died, 6 years before Superman did. So that was like, you know what I mean? The first, 6-7 years before Superman did in comics. And it was just like they took risks with that character and they made you invest in him as a character inside of pop culture.
Yeah. I think that's a really cool, that you made it a list. And it's a cool way of looking at it, that like he's a superhero, he's a living being, and he protects humanity, and that makes him a superhero. I think that's just this is a really cool take on the list, I think.
Yeah, he's a great symbol for peace across the world.
All right, I'm already losing track of numbers here, so
I'm still on number 9.
Okay, Lance is on number 9. Wow. Okay, this is why this is a 2-part episode.
Yes.
We're on Lance's number 9.
All right, my number 9, same thing as my number 10, has a relationship with one of my other picks, and that is Quicksilver.
Nice.
Okay.
So Quicksilver made my list. The biggest reason why is because the thing that really pushed him in, because he was like on the border and he wasn't even going to make it, was the fact that like growing up as a kid, he was like my favorite character. Before other characters, it was him and Cyclops, and like I just thought he was so cool, and I had little action figures of him, thought he was awesome.
Because he can run fast.
Because he can run fast, yeah. That's literally it. This is like, well, that's so awesome. I have no idea why, but hey, sometimes you just see something in a character like, oh, he looks cool and he runs really fast. And what they did with him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I thought was awesome. Loved it. Wish he was in more than just one. What they did in the Fox movies.
Thanks, Joss Whedon.
Yeah. What they did in the Fox movies, on the other hand, I mean, I couldn't stand him. But everything in the comics, all the stuff with the House of M, Quicksilver, and just, how the characters kind of, also another thing, characters changed. Son of Magneto, not Son of Magneto. Obviously, it was just because Marvel was getting mad about the whole Fox deal. But, I think it's just a character that I've always enjoyed, And I know he's not like the strongest mutant out there or superhero, but I enjoyed him, and also the good guy bad guy dynamic for a little bit there.
Absolutely, Quicksilver, absolutely, kind of one of the most, I think, underrated characters in the Marvel universe too. They could do so much more with him because his connection with Scarlet Witch and with the X-Men and with the Avengers, with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutant. He's kind of taken for granted. Sometimes feel like in the Marvel universe, what he could do with Flash is still utilized over in the DC universe. Do you mean as a linchpin member of the Justice League?
Yeah,
and Quicksilver could be that character over the universe too, but they just haven't worked his way in. Do you know what I mean? In that integral process.
Yeah,
I think part of the problem is maybe the Flash. There's so much stuff with the Flash, they feel like if they push harder for Quicksilver, it'd be hard to push him because there's so many big Flash fans, and it's almost like the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Marvel has a lot of Marvel and DC have a lot of similar characters, and it seems like there's always one that's a lot more popular. as far as the similar characters, you know.
And Flash is like beyond even speed. Like he starts warping reality and stuff to like, it's like the point where it's like ridiculous, right? And if I'm not mistaken,
like
Quicksilver is not, they haven't done stuff like that, right?
Yeah, Flash has got his own like speed force he gets to deal with. I mean, technically the fabric of the DC universe is connected to the Flash. And so that's another thing too. Even Flash is kind of underappreciated, but he means the DC universe in some ways, except the Flash fans.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy like that. Yeah. So I know what you mean, but like that. So I think Quicksilver's got so much more potential they can do with him in storytelling, and it'll be fun to see them. Someone that really likes Quicksilver, like you do, and like as a writer, just more or less fleshes out what he can do in the Marvel universe and storytelling with him being connected to Magneto and being connected to Scarlet Witch and, you know, just being connected to Crystal and the Inhuman. I mean, he's got a lot of threads in the Marvel universe that could be explored, and it's kind of short term. They don't long term develop Quicksilver, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think it was really cool. And you mentioned like, so he's the son of Magneto. He's an X-Men. He's a member of the Brotherhood of Mutants, and he's been an Avenger. And like all three of those have been iconic roles for him. Like it was so iconic that he's one of the few characters that his movie rights not only came with X-Men, but his movie rights also came with Avengers. Like that's how iconic of a role he played in both. So the MCU was able to use Quicksilver, and the Fox universe was able to use Quicksilver. It's just they couldn't mention the other. That's how iconic those roles were. So how underappreciated is that? How many characters can you say that about? You know?
Absolutely. I mean, like House of M, like Bendis was smart enough to use him as the linchpin of what actually happened in House of M. And they still, do you know what I mean? It's like they kind of discounted, you know, his influence on so many characters afterwards. I'm going like that, dude, then, you know, he's one that convinced Scarlet Witch to let's change reality to make it a reality that we can all live with. And, you know, more or less, it was the mastermind behind House of M in a correct way.
And I'm excited to see them bring him back in the MCU.
Yes, that's gonna be fun.
It's gonna happen. They signed him to a multi movie deal. Let's bring him back,
dude. I hope we see him in the Scarlet Witch, the WandaVision show. That would be great.
I hope so too, and I would actually probably bet on it.
Yeah,
I would bet on it. Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 8.
Wow. Number 8. Pulling up my list here because I don't know. Okay. This makes sense. Of course. Number 8.
Better make sense.
Number 8. This is a character I liked in the comic books, and her appearances in the MCU just further solidified that. Always thought she was a cool character. I think they did a great job. One of my favorite actresses plays her, so like that worked out even more. Could they have done a better job casting her? Yes, they could have. I'll admit that. I don't even care. But looking at my list here, this is my favorite Avenger. So how's that for a fact? And that is Black Widow.
Nice.
My favorite Avenger. So spoiler alert for the rest of my list, there are no more Avengers on my list. Black Widow is my number 8. She's taken the top spot for the Avengers. She's cool. She's a Russian spy, but now she's, you know, with America. I mean, isn't that the American dream, right? You defect from your communist country and you get accepted to America, right?
Yes.
That's the American dream.
Yeah.
And I wish she had a Russian accent within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that's not what happened, which is fine.
Wouldn't it make more sense for her to not have one?
To me, she got to adulthood, right?
But if she's the ultimate spy, she should be able to just have any voice. She could have an American accent at all times.
Absolutely.
It would give it away that she's Black Widow if there's just some random redhead chick walking around with a Russian accent.
Yes, she should be able. She should be able to put on an American accent, but I believe if she's naturally just talking to her teammates, it should be a Russian accent. her natural accent should be Russian. Yes. Yes. Why would she?
Hey, we'll see in the Black Widow movie. Maybe she'll have a little more of a Russian
She's
accent
not.
through some parts. I know she's not.
But she's a fun character. I feel like she gets the short end of the stick sometimes. You know, I remember a few years back they started a Black Widow series and it got canceled super fast, but it started really. I thought it started really good. She even fought like Crimson Dynamo in it. You know, the cover art was really cool. But we got this new Black Widow series starting up, and gosh, Ken, who did the cover for #1 or
Adam Hughes?
Thank you.
Adam Hughes is doing covers.
Yes.
J. Scott Campbell was doing variants for the first 3 issues.
Adam Hughes is who I was referring to, and his cover for #1 was awesome. It was so awesome that I put it on my comic book rack. Like, it wasn't even relegated to my long boxes. It went right up with all of my Grail comics because the art was really cool.
Yeah, and that cover's brilliant too because it connects the fact of her being this powerful Russian spy hero, mixed in with the pose. She's in a ballerina pose that goes back to her childhood of her origins, which to me was like brilliant for Adam Hughes to kind of capture the spirit of the history and the present inside that image of her on that cover with the Black Widow shape in the background. Such a beautiful cover, dude.
I'll be honest. Like, I just love the art, and I didn't even catch that, and now I love it even more. Like, that is fantastic.
Brilliant cover.
Yep. And you know, Black Widow, she has a handful. I mean, she's got some appearances in the MCU, and I love how true to the comics it's been so far. You know, with like they did the ballerina stuff, like even if it was just quick little flashbacks, it's been referenced, and the whole thing with like, you know, ripping out her uterus and stuff, like that's been referenced too. And I think, you know, a lot of these things that are involved within her origin, I think we're going to see that explored even more. But I think it's great. Like, they've really stayed true to the character, and it's really solidified it for me.
What's crazy is the fact that her whole character's origin has probably been like used and teased more than like any other topic, like even more than Thanos coming. Like the first Avengers movie, Loki's like, "Oh, you've read in your ledger," and like that was literally her whole, like she ends up like freaking out, you know, and like there's just in every movie they've been leading up to this Black Widow movie that we're finally getting. Wow. So it's kind of crazy.
That's a great point. All right, so Ken, what do you got?
Man, dude, this is where it starts getting hard for ranking for me.
I know it's hard.
Because I'm at number 8. Oh man, I'm having a tough time already. Very good. And this guy was moving up and down my list pretty regularly.
Okay.
And I left him down at number 8. And I kind of referenced him a little bit earlier in the show, but Jason Todd, Red Hood. As I was never a huge fan of Robins at all, but that story of them actually taking a risk of killing a child sidekick at DC back in the 80s, you had to pay attention. The man's going like that. Are they really going to do this? They're going to kill a superhero sidekick kid inside a comic series.
Oh, come on. Marvel killed Bucky, right?
That's true. Yeah. But that was just presumed. But then, like, they never did the story of Bucky dying. Right?
I know you're right. I just had to throw it in there.
No, you're right, dude. I can kind of see your point on that. But having something like so drastically done to this kid, where you know he was trying to reunite with his mom, and then the Joker, you know, interfered and blew up a building that he was in. You know what I mean? And, you know, you're going like, oh my gosh, dude! Like, was Batman's first? How would you say? I mean, I guess his second major failure, because he always blamed, you know what I mean, himself for his parents dying in a way, or like wouldn't let anything like that happen to anybody else. But just it was one of Batman's biggest failures, and Jason Todd became kind of what Batman cannot do on his return. You know what I mean? It's like that Jason Todd took it as almost Punisher-esque responsibility to protect Gotham City from the crime lords that Batman wouldn't finish off.
Yep.
And almost like where he became the first vigilante of Gotham City, where, Batman always was the caped crusader. You know what I mean? And he kind of like just some of the whole too, where he was trying to make Batman a better Batman in a weird, sick, twisted way, but that by recreating Jason Todd as a Red Hood, he got a cool new makeover. He had like a more or less a dramatic form of justice that Batman, he became a nemesis and a hero at the same time. I mean, it's more of like an anti-hero, real hero. And just his storytelling of him challenging Batman to think about, is it really, like how, like he's the guy that got closest to trying to get Batman to break his code by making a choice between either me or your code. When Jason Todd like kidnapped the Joker and more or less forced Batman to make a choice. And anyone that makes that kind of an impact on Batman, where Batman still chooses the right path of what's right and what's wrong, where he saw the Joker as the guy that was the victim to Jason Todd at that point, you're going like, wow, this guy kind of made an impact in my book of like, this guy is just an unbelievable new reimagination of what a character I had no care in whatsoever in Robin's. And it's kind of easy because he is like that. Unfortunately, he's the victim of being a superhero and having to deal with the fact of not everything is going to go your way, but then always struggling with the fact of what it means to be a superhero. So it's for whatever reason that character really appeals to me. So he made my list. And said too, it's like that. I always like the design look of the artists that draw him all the time. They usually pair him with great artists like Ken Roccafort's redesign of his costume that was in Red Hood and the Outlaws. The fact that he works with Arsenal and Starfire and Bizarro and Artemis, these like lister characters, and it's kind of the discount trinity of like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman of like Red Hood, Bizarro, and Artemis. But I find that group more enjoyable even than the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman team ups.
Yeah,
just because they're a little bit more in the struggle rather than the fact of everything being handed to them is because of how great they are.
Yep, and I think stories like Jason Todd, and even like Dick Grayson, especially like you see the evolution to characters like Nightwing. You really see where Warner Brothers is failing with utilizing their Robin characters, because you can have these great subplots and you're just not doing it. Everyone's been so scared of doing Robin stories within their Batman movies, and that nobody should be scared, because there's whole franchises that you can do around these characters, and these are great supporting characters and main characters that can have their own stories, and you're just blowing it. Like the DC universe goes beyond Batman and Superman.
Yes.
And it's even more interesting when you get beyond that, in my opinion, quite frankly. And they just, I don't know.
You're more, you start becoming invested in their turnaround.
Yeah.
In a weird way of saying it. Like, Jason Todd was, I said too, he was the broken Robin. And you want to see how he turns out. Is he going to, you become more invested in his story because it's a tragedy. And not many superhero tragedies are you fed inside of comic books. It's always that the hero saves the day. But how does the hero rebuild themselves when they're broken? And that's the Red Hood story. And
skip the next, 30 seconds to a minute if you don't want to hear this. And I'll give you a second to pull up the timer here. But I mean, there's articles all over the internet, so I'm assuming this isn't a spoiler. But from what I understand, we're getting this Zack Snyder cut that's supposed to be 4 hours long. And, from what I'm reading, probably way too much stuff jammed into this. But we know Jared Leto is going to be back with a different look for the Joker. And they're saying that he's going to look different. And based on that, we saw, what's his name? Ben Affleck walking by, Jason Todd's Robin outfit, that we're going to get a quick flashback to Joker killing Jason Todd.
Wow.
And it may only be like a second, but I mean, that's the stuff we need, and I hope that's true. And I hope that that's not all it is. I hope we get that in a long version, I hope it's not just relegated to a flashback, because it is a cool story. Maybe. We'll see.
It's great for developing threads for future storytelling too.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's what Marvel's been doing, right? There's little things here and there, and they get expanded upon later.
It's kind of sad that they haven't done Robin yet, but then they'll do like
they already killed Robin.
They'll do they just killed. We already killed him. It's over.
He's already dead. We didn't want to do it.
It ended before it started.
Okay, I'm still lost at where we're at.
Okay,
I think it's Lance.
My number 8.
That's the number.
My
8.
character is also a broken character.
Interesting.
And a character that it took them so many years to unbreak.
And I just want to jump in and say all of our number 8s are a little broken, at least. Okay, go on.
Yeah. And mine is Gamora, the deadliest woman in the universe.
Wow.
Yes.
So, what they did to her in the MCU, it's okay. I think they're going to redeem themselves. I love Zoe Saldana, right? Is that her?
Yeah.
She's great. Love her. Awesome. She's awesome when she's blue. She's green. Doesn't matter, right? She does great in this role. The only thing I don't like is the fact, we get it seems like, is the fact that I feel like we haven't really gotten the deadliest woman in the universe Gamora. We've gotten more of the, more relaxed, calm Gamora that's kind of been shown in the more recent comics, as far as the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. But with this whole Gamora's dead thing, and now we have the alternate reality Gamora in our universe, and she's still in that mental state of she's just a death machine, she's there to kill people. I'm excited for that Gamora, because to me that part of her is so cool. There's a reason why she's the deadliest woman in the universe, right? And I just like her character, and what they've done recently in the comics, in Infinity Wars, that they did in the more recent comic, was so cool. The whole her trying to get the Soul Stone so she can get the piece of her that's still stuck in there. And talk about a broken character, right? She was put in that stone how long ago, when the first Infinity War happened. And then now they're right. So now they're playing on that part. Was super cool. And during Infinity War, the whole thing about who is this person? At first nobody even knew it was Gamora, and the character was so cool. And she ends up, beheading her father and getting all the Infinity Stones, and it's just changing reality and doing all this crazy stuff. She's just such a fun character. And there's nothing better than the deadliest, better than a name of the deadliest woman in the universe, She killed Black Widow. Okay. Yes, probably. Black Widow doesn't have any powers. She's an alien who can fight Thanos. Gamora's cool. I didn't like that they killed her for the Soul Stone. That really annoyed me. Especially as a big fan of the Infinity War comics. I was like, wow, she's one of the 2 people I expected to survive this movie. So that's a twist, I guess. But she's still around, so whatever. Shouldn't she?
So,
but shouldn't she be in there?
What do you mean?
She's essentially in the Soul Stone, right? She died for the Soul Stone, right? So she almost essentially is in the Soul Stone.
Look, I didn't say it was a deal breaker, because her introduction into the Infinity War comics is really weird. When you're reading issue 1, we're following these people, and you have no idea why we keep cutting to this this girl and these like two dudes, and they're driving a car, and they go to a hotel, and then they like die, but then they get like wrapped in cocoons, and then Gamora, Adam Warlock, and Pip the Troll pop out. And still, I don't necessarily even think I understand why that happened. I'll admit it. Infinity War is my favorite comic, though. It's weird, but sure, whatever. I'm not arguing with it. I just wasn't thrilled.
Fair enough. Who's your number 7? Who's your lucky number 7?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I had to pull it up. Okay. My number 7, which is very exciting. Probably, and I'm looking real quick, this is the newest character on my list. And what I mean new as far as their first appearance in real life or fake life or whatever you want to say. But this is the newest character on my list. And I'm looking through it again. Yes, this is the newest character on my list. She is just too cool. And man, as much as I give a hard time to all the other characters that like, oh, this is just a male or female version of the other character and this and that. This character just makes too much sense. And kind of like Harley Quinn, this character first appeared in an animated series before the comic book, and it was just such a good idea that, you know, this character is canon. And if you haven't figured out by that description, this is X-23.
Yes.
What a cool character. Yes, okay. She's female Wolverine.
But you have Wolverine and X-23 on your list?
Yeah, I have Wolverine and X-23 on my list. But she is just... And I have X-23. X-23 is my number 7, and Wolverine's my number 10. But she's cool. And to me, like, if you look back at Weapon X and everything, that what they were doing, it totally makes sense that a character like X-23 would come around. And although her first appearance, like it's, especially in the comics, I mean, like it's a very adult read, I guess I would say.
She's a prostitute, right?
Yes.
Way to
put it blunt, I was going to tiptoe around it, but yes, she was a prostitute.
Professional, like that's professional career work, right?
Correct. Yes, it's to put it bluntly, yes. But to me, like it added to the tragedy, and it was just a very kind of real life thing, you know.
She was an escort. Sorry, make it more.
No, I mean, no, there's no beating around the bush now. I mean, Zebra Daddy was the pimp, you know. But you know, I have the first appearance of X-23. For some reason, it's probably one of my more valuable comics because of how popular a character she is. She's a cool character. I mean, she's even taken up the mantle of Wolverine, you know, in recent comics. You know, she's got the 2 claws in her hand, and they moved the one to her foot. So even though if you got her arms pinned, she's gonna kick you with her 3rd claw. You know, she's deadly. You know, she's a cool character. Her first appearance is cool. Even outside NYX, when the X-Men finally meet her, you know, she's cool and she's kind of whooping everybody, and you know, Wolverine's trying to talk to her. She has more of a Sabretooth look, I think, in those comics. Like the way they designed her there. And they did a great job with her in the movies too. You know, it was a great send off for Hugh Jackman. The actress who played her, that was fantastic. I wish I could have seen more of that. I mean, her origin was pretty right on. I mean, what an awesome character.
Yeah, a great job as an actress. She was awesome.
Yeah, and they was mentioning earlier, like that she's another character they matured.
Yeah, 100%.
Like now she's mentoring a new character that's her clone again, Honey Badger.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, yes, and you're right, and that's cool. Like it's you know, it's fun to see these characters evolve, especially when they're really young. Like, you want to see where they get to, you know, like, you don't want them to be like, you know, oh, you didn't mute yourself there, did you? I saw you reaching for it.
I couldn't find my mouse. It's on the other
screen. I can't even edit that out because that was just too funny watching you try to mute yourself. But it is cool to see, especially like younger characters mature. I think Spider-Man is probably one of our best early examples of that, right? Because, you know, he's a kid in school. Like, we saw him grow up, we saw him get married. You know, we see him evolve, but like his essence is still there. You know, and I think that's what's fun with characters like Magic and X-23.
And you kind of grow up with them.
Yeah, a little bit.
Kind of, you know, 30 years goes by, 3 years goes by for them. You know,
yeah. All right, Ken, what's your number 7?
This is a tough one too, because it's kind of a hard explanation. What first attracted me to Spider-Man as a kid was the symbiote Spider-Man. First thing that attracted me outside of cartoon. That more or less transitioned me from cartoons to comic books was the symbiote Spider-Man. And the symbiotes were defined by Bendis about 6 years ago, to be more defined as a species called Clintar. And the Clintar, bold, more or less warriors that merge to kind of be like, make other warriors perfect warriors.
Okay.
And so Bendis kind of like created the planet of the symbiotes, even though they did a Planet of the Symbiotes story back in the 90s. Yeah. They were just more or less still symbiotes.
I love that story.
So Bendis kind of gave them more or less definition of being noble warriors that can be corrupted by their hosts, but they're designed to more or less be protectors of the galaxy, even though sometimes they can be corrupted, is like what we saw with obviously the one symbiote that was Peter Parker's becoming Venom, and some other symbiotes that have been around the galaxy.
I'm so excited. I have no idea what you're going to say.
Donny Cates kind of changed that a little bit by making Null the god of the symbiotes. But symbiotes as a whole are a noble species. So symbiote Spider-Man is by far my favorite Spider-Man, but without the symbiote, he's just still Spider-Man.
Sure.
So Venom by default made my list because he has the symbiote that was Spider-Man's symbiote. And the symbiote has altruistically, even though there's the hate for Spider-Man, made Eddie Brock a hero.
Yeah.
And so I said to kind of like a complex answer there.
So it's Venom.
Venom by default of being connected to Spider-Man through that symbiote made my list.
Cool.
So
for the longest time, I could not stand Venom because of the fact that he made what I liked about Spider-Man as a kid to a villain. But luckily, the writers at Marvel saw what they had with Venom as more than just a Spider-Man villain and turn him into what he is today.
Wow.
And so Venom is my number 7.
I love Venom.
Which would never have been on my list 20 years ago.
Interesting.
They've been doing just such great character development. Eddie Brock and Flash Thompson, having the Venom symbiote. Like every person that symbiote that was first bonded with Peter has become cooler by having that symbiote on him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I love Venom. I love that Venom is on your superhero list because, spoiler alert, what helped me get through my superhero list was including Venom on my super villain list just to make myself feel better because I love Venom. And I think it's hard not to like Venom just for all of those different reasons that you described. He made one of the coolest versions of Spider-Man. He's a cool villain. Venom is awesome. He's a cool villain. He's a cool anti-hero. I mean, you can't go, especially Eddie Brock Venom. I mean, like that's the classic, you know. I remember every time he showed up in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, like those were the episodes to watch. You know? Yeah, there is no longer Eddie Brock, only Venom.
Yes. And so that was a tough way to have to go about it. I was just debating, is he a villain, is he a hero? And I said, right now, I think he's become enough of a hero to make the hero list for me too now as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Okay. It's me now. No, it's my number 6.
I mean, you can skip me. That's fine.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Yes, that's right. You're number 7, right?
My number 7, yep.
You're number 7. Yes.
My number 7 relates to my number 9.
I don't remember who your number 9 is, so that doesn't help.
Quicksilver.
Oh, so I guess there's
it's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
So we already talked about it so many
wow,
times.
your number 7 is Scarlet. That surprises me. I am surprised by this. Yes.
I think a lot of it has to do with probably the push of the MCU, giving a little more of appreciation. I love that, Elizabeth Olsen's awesome. And just her character development, through the years, same thing with so many other characters. The House of M thing was a huge deal. I mean, how that's changed the entire, comic universe. And she's just a fun character. Again, she's the same reason as Quicksilver, right? Was an Avenger, X-Men, Brotherhood, right?
Yep.
Wiped out all the mutants. She's an Omega level mutant. There's so much they can do with her. She's just a fun character.
I mean, the fact she can just change the fabric of reality and do so much with the universe is just, she's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. So, especially recent comics, like they've made her so incredibly powerful. I won't say I didn't consider her, because I do have Scarlet Witch collectibles as well. And you're right, Elizabeth Olsen makes her an even easier character to like, because her portrayal of the character is awesome, and especially what they're doing in the MCU just makes it all the more exciting.
So, Blake, what is your number 6?
My number 6. Number 6. So, 3. Yes, my number 6 was probably a part of my top 3 at some point. That's how much my list has changed, but I am confident that I considered this character part of my top 3 very often. This character has gone down because it's just kind of hard to collect. It's one of those ones where I probably will never get the first appearance. So, it makes it hard, as a collector to really enjoy the character. Plus, you almost don't want the first appearance. You want the first more modern appearance, especially with all the people that have taken up the mantle and stuff. So my number 6 is Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider.
That's cool.
I love Ghost Rider. No, I'm not a motorcycle guy, but I mean, Ghost Rider's cool. He's really powerful. I wish his movies were better. I was looking forward to the Nicolas Cage. I was going to give him a chance. And the first one was whatever. It wasn't that great, but I've watched it several times, and it was really cool. The whole thing they did with his look, and it was cool to see Peter. Almost said Cushing. Peter, what's his name? Who played Mephisto? Peter Fonda playing Mephisto. How cool was that? And then the whole thing with Sam Elliott being the old cowboy Ghost Rider, that was a really cool thing that you can't disregard. But I can't wait for Ghost Rider to join the MCU. Some of the stuff is a little weird, and that's fine. But a lot of I do dig a lot of the quote horror Marvel stuff. Even though I'm not much of a horror guy, but Ghost Rider's a cool character, and he's my number 6.
That's a good choice.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is getting blurry for me.
Yeah.
What's your number 6, Ken?
Yeah. Gosh, dude. It's like I scribbled it out 2 different times. And then, like my third number 6, which is kind of weird. Man, dude, because he fits in other categories for me too as well.
Okay.
But I was really impacted by Man Logan. And like Wolverine is obviously still Man Logan, but Old Man Logan kind of changed the dynamic of Wolverine to something we had not seen before. And I said too, like an altruistic, like family life Wolverine that was just tired, like swore off violence together, and just kind of had to change everything about what the Wolverine character was. And then you as a fan had to get behind it and believe it executable. Wow. And it was very lone wolf and cub feeling to me by the time it was all said and done too as well. I mean, it was an apocalyptic future where I think what shocked me about it was the remorse he had of he is like can come back from anything pretty much. I mean, that's his power. He's a healer, you know what I mean? And he's got adamantium skeleton that is not his mutant ability, but his healing factor allowed him to live forever, no matter what happened to him. And for Mysterio to mess with his mind and make illusions that the X-Mansion was being attacked, and Old Man Logan was actually the reason why the X-Men were killed off, so the villains could take over the United States. Part of the plan was to have Wolverine kill the X-Men, which, dude, I mean, totally changed the whole chemistry of Wolverine altogether. He had to deal with the guilt of already enough stuff he's had remorsefully happened during his life. He had to deal with the fact of that he swore off violence altogether because he saw how dangerous he was. He can't be responsible for anything it means to be a superhero, and that's his way of being the superhero now. It's like he's got to swear off what it means to be a superhero.
Yeah.
So this is like a really, really tough one for me because I really appreciated that story, and I appreciated that incarnation of Wolverine. I mean, the whole trip of him going across the country with Hawkeye and slowly him becoming comfortable with being who he was again. And it was such a cool reimagination of Wolverine, and an aspect that someone took a risk with the character, did something that was never done before with him, and made it into an iconic version of the character. So Old Man Logan kind of became my number 6 after some deep thoughts of whether it should be Wolverine or Old Man Logan. And so I stuck with Old Man Logan, even though it's the same person.
That's a really cool choice. Especially that, like, it was such, even though it's a modern story of Wolverine, it's become so iconic that, I mean, he's got a Marvel Legends figure now. There was a lot of inspiration that they took for Hugh Jackman's last movie, because, I mean, no matter what happens, Hugh Jackman's take on Wolverine is going to be iconic.
Yes.
You know, no matter how good of a Wolverine we get. I mean, it's like Michael Keaton as Batman. You know, there's always going to be that, you know, that charm of the original, you know, if you will.
But he really wasn't Wolverine, though. Like,
yeah, that's what
you know what I mean? Like, Hugh Jackman did great, but he's not really Wolverine.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, love Logan, great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it was kind of like a separation from being the Wolverine we knew, but it was still, do you know what I mean?
Hugh Jackman actually was probably more Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of, I said too, the Old Man Logan characters to me is like what Red Hood is to Jason Todd. It's like, how can we take this character new direction that is even better than what we've already done with a character that's been revered for years, like in Wolverine, and in Jason Todd's case, a Robin, and make him into a better character. Mm-hmm. How hard that is to do is like very, I think it's kind of almost impossible to do with a character that's so revered. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they pulled it off amazingly with the Man Logan character that is still Wolverine, but a Wolverine we've never seen before. So, evolution of a character in a major way.
Yep. Totally cool. What you got, Lance?
All right. My number 6, I believe we're on, is a character who had to sacrifice himself to save what he loved. And in turn,
Wolverine
became a powerful became a powerful being. And
still
is
Wolverine.
Not Wolverine, but is Silver Surfer.
Ooh,
wow. Nice. Number 6, Silver Surfer.
Number 6 is Silver Surfer. So like obviously, his whole origin of Galactus coming and him end up being a herald of Galactus and him never being able to see his love again. And I mean, what a great story, and he's
tragic.
Kind of underutilized, tragic and underutilized. I feel like there's so much more growth for that character. And just, I mean, he's Silver Surfer. Look at him; he's a surfboard.
He can fight, but he can fight Thor.
He can go toe to toe with Thor, and he was just some dude on a planet, And yet he's strong enough to go toe to toe with so many incredibly strong villains and heroes, and to be able to go through something like being a herald of something evil that he's like, man, I don't want this. I don't want to do this, but I have to do it. You know what I mean? Like that's a huge weight to take on and responsibility in the universe.
Silver Surfer was one of the characters that I considered for my list for sure, because he's really cool. He's really powerful. To me, underutilized. Especially in the movies. And Fox had a fair interpretation, but unfortunately, the rest of the movie just kind of didn't fall through because. That combination of Doug Jones and Lawrence Fishburne playing Silver Surfer was a great interpretation of the character. I love it when movies can use multiple actors to find the best within the voice and performance and physicality. I think that's how we get some of the best, on-screen characters. I mean, look at Darth Vader. That was a combination of James Earl Jones and I'm gonna have to say the guy in the suit because his name is
Peter Krause. Is it Krause or Prowse? David Prowse.
David Prowse. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, but that's I don't think there's enough of that, because it's so easy to do, and Silver Surfer was one of the best parts of that second Fantastic Four movie. And it was really cool that Galactus was coming, but it was just very anticlimactic that it was just a cloud at the end. But yeah, 100%. I look forward to him joining the MCU. He's really cool every time he shows up in the comics. Especially that, what's that cover with him fighting Thor on the Rainbow Bridge?
What about
Silver Surfer?
Silver Surfer. Yeah, 4.
Yeah. I mean, probably one of the greatest comic book covers of all time, the epitome.
I actually used that for a Nightcap chat episode.
Yeah. Saw that. But I mean, at first he shows up in a Fantastic Four comic, he's a bad guy, but he's been pretty much the definitive good guy going forward. But his intentions were always noble. And that's really cool.
Fantastic Four 48 and 49.
Yeah, my biggest regret is not picking those up for dirt cheap. I'm talking like $40 to $60 cheap graded.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an awesome deal.
Yeah, that's
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about
You know, on your list, I also have the first appearance of Black Widow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
What do you mean on?
Yeah, I don't have that.
I'm just saying on the our list, like I had the first appearance of Silver Surfer, Black Widow, Gamora.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever owned the first appearance of Black Widow. It's kind of crazy.
I don't have the first appearance of Black Widow. I have her origin.
I bought it for you.
Yeah,
because that's Tales of Suspense, right?
Yes. And then Hawkeye's is two issues later. I have that too.
Yeah, 57, right?
Yeah. And she's in the Hawkeye one too.
Yes.
Her costume actually changes in that one.
Yeah, she didn't wear that wedding veil or the funeral veil dress anymore.
Yeah, that stupid. It's what bad costumes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'll admit it. I'll admit it. It was different.
Kills her prey, goes to the funeral, goes on. She's always ready for a funeral.
Yes, I will admit, like I did enjoy her pop, her first appearance pop. It was cool that they did that, and we got to see that in a Funko Pop form.
Yes, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's she survived because her costume evolved, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Blade. Your last one for this episode.
Well, I was going to do number 5, but I think.
Oh, this is it, right?
I think we're going to wrap this up at number 6 because we did a honorable mention, and this episode is running long. So I'm going to bank on us doing 1 through 5 quicker. Oh no, I just did 5.
5 is 5.
Oh no, so yeah, I just did it. Yes, okay, never mind.
Sorry,
it's fine. Yeah, we're all confused. It's late. So we're gonna wrap up this episode. Next week is Thanksgiving, and we take Thanksgiving off. So you get 1 through 5 the week after Thanksgiving. So you were gonna have to wait that long for us to wrap up this 1 through 5 episode. But we're gonna go ahead and record it right now. It's just a little teaser there. So it's gonna be up in limbo for 2 weeks. But we appreciate you all taking the time to listen. If you did enjoy this episode, share on social media, tell your friends about it, tell your friends about Nightcap Chat, and let us know what your top 10 list is, or maybe what your 10 to 5 is. I'm going to talk about 1 through 5 2 weeks from now. Ken?
Yeah, it's like the guys. Thank you very much for listening again for our first half of the top 10. And just want to let you guys know too as well, we are doing something a little bit different this year. Usually we do our doorbusters the day after Thanksgiving, but this year, since it's a social distancing year, we are doing a little bit safer holiday shopping plan for you guys, where we're doing holiday deals. You know, me and my crazy promotion ideas, kind of messing around with some different types of names, and so I came up with Holiday Deal, which is holiday shopping. We're on to comics, but follow us on social media, through Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and on our website drawntocomics.com, and you can see those great, awesome savings we'll be doing all holiday season. Like this weekend, we did buy one get one half off on trade paperbacks and graphic novels. Next weekend, it's gonna be posted daily. So you guys gotta keep tracking, take advantage of those great deals, and kind of keep a little bit under wraps. That way, the store doesn't get too crazy all the time. But the people that come in when they see it are getting awesome deals today, right? So definitely check it out.
That is so much fun. I was just in there a few days ago. I was buying all kinds of stuff. And I'm not going to say what I bought because one of them was my Christmas present. So
nice.
I'm not going to talk about it.
It's funny, boy, too, what you bought the other day. Someone on that same day came in at the end of the night and was hoping it was still in the water.
Oh,
no! Because I saw it earlier this week. I just had to get a paycheck and say, hey, dude, those things are popular.
No, I saw it in the window, and I remember you mentioned, I ordered one. And I was like, no, this is how my wife was like, it could be a Christmas present. I was like, okay, that's it. I won't open it till Christmas. It's gonna be okay.
It's pretty awesome. Did you tell Lance what you got? Are we allowed to talk about it on air?
We can talk about it. I got the Galactus Hero Click, the new one.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's just as a display piece, it's cool. You know,
it looks like a statue. It's insane.
Don't worry, we'll play with it. I'm gonna open it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it looks like a statue, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, like that's
unbelievable.
That's like half of the reason to buy it. Like, it makes it worth the price point, you know, because when we look at the price of Marvel Legend figures, this is so much bigger, and it's such a cool sculpt and a wonderful paint job, and it's huge. It's a cool display piece even when you're not using it. So, I mean, that makes it worth it.
Yeah, they did such a good job with it. NECA is doing such a good job with clicks right now. It's just
yeah, so much fun, and I'm looking forward to fighting Lance in HeroClix with Galactus. Lance?
Yeah, I'm Lance, and I'm on Twitch at Tales of Lance, and Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys all for coming out and viewing the broadcasts. If you missed it, I see a lot of people watching the VODs. So I've been trying to make it a little more past couple of oh my gosh, streams. I've been trying to talk to people who are viewing it more, because I have a lot of viewers apparently that are coming and watching my past broadcasts. But thank you guys for coming out and doing that. I'm actually gonna be streaming after this whenever we wrap this up. If we do, I don't know. It's going on forever. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out and seeing me on Twitch.
Thank you all for listening. We love you. Be safe. We're taking the week of the 23rd. That's the week of Thanksgiving off. But we will finish our top 10 list the week of November 30th. The episode will come out December 1st, which is kind of crazy to say and think about with our 1 through 5 picks there. So look out for that episode. And if you're behind next week, just catch up on our all episodes, and we will see you then. Thanks for listening.
Thank you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.